Hey, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, your local report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we'll be talking to local experts to learn ways we can become better anglers in our pursuits offshore, nearshore, and inshore. To keep this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come, remember to protect what you pursue. Summer fishing is fired up with warm water and hungry fish moving into the bay. So let's hear who's making this show possible, and then we'll jump into the reports. Check it out. AFTCO has a gift for our listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For cool mornings, I love my Reaper sweatshirt. And on those hot days, my Samurai sun shirt. You just can't beat the quality and performance. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. All right, anglers, listen up. It's a new week. There's a lot of activity that's happened in the last 7 days. We've had a Virginia Beach Tuna tournament. We've had a cobia tournament. We've had hot water moving up from the south. And we've had a tuna bite like nothing we've seen in years. So if we're going to talk tuna, we got to talk to Captain Bill Pappas. Welcome back to the show, Playing Hooky. How we doing?
Hey man, welcome aboard Playing Hooky Charters. How are you today, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm still just kind of in disbelief at how many tuna fish have been caught and how good it's been. I mean, just for our listeners who are tuning in and maybe don't know much about the yellowfin tuna fishery out of Virginia Beach, like how special is it this year in contrast to years past?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'll be dead honest with you. I think I could get more people to slowly agree with this statement, but I think it's the best I've seen in almost 20 years. I've seen
Wow.
some good fishing times. I've seen some good catches. Maybe there's more boats now, but we've never had a Virginia Beach tuna tournament with that much tuna coming to the dock. Just everybody, not everybody having limits, but everybody bringing back 8 to 10 fish. I mean, there's a lot more boats, a lot more pressure, but to see it like this in Virginia Beach, it didn't just go around us, is great. This is the best tuna fishing we've seen in a long time. And I'll tell you who's the most happy is my freezer.
I was like, who? What's his name? Okay, so 20 years. I mean, I can remember for the last 7 or 8 years since I've been paying attention to the offshore stuff. I mean, I've never heard of it be this good. Typically, it's just a couple of boats bringing in some limits. But Saturday, I was down at the docks. There was 91 of 96 boats that fished that brought fish back. I got to see my buddy Brad Herndon on the LeGrand Slam. He was fishing with Daniel LeGrand. I saw my buddy Eric was fishing on Lori V. I got to see Captain Zach on Not Tugging. I didn't get to see you because you were one of the few crazies that went out on Friday in 6 to 10 foot seas. My God.
It was
But
not 6 to 10. They're lying. It was 8 to 12. Yeah, boy, bring it on.
golly,
That's
man,
what I'm talking
I
about.
can't even imagine. But okay, if you had to put like your finger, on a map and point to one thing that would be the difference this year as opposed to maybe the last 15 to 20 years, like is it an environmental thing? Is it the windmill bases? Like what could it possibly be that's changing it to be so productive this year as opposed to years past?
Well, fortunately, nature is cyclic, where it goes through cycles.
Yeah.
So as much as this is going to sound stupid to some, when you wipe out a whole entire bait fleet of bait in an area and then you take it out of one whole entire thing, it never surprised me that the tunas went around us. Because if one thing eats the other, and the other thing eats the other, and the other thing eats the other, and it produces for the other, then eventually it's going to work its way out there where there's nothing for the things to eat. But what nature does, it replaces it with other things.
Mm-hmm.
The Spanish mac went away. You seen the ribbons come in. You seen
Mm-hmm.
then the ribbons go, and then the Spanish are back. You see the gray trout completely go, then you see the bluefish come through. So out
Yeah.
there, for example, we've seen a lot of butterfish and we haven't seen a lot of butterfish down here. So we've seen a lot of butterfish swimming in the open out there with the bonitos earlier this year. It's basically, I'm saying, since a bait was completely raped and pillaged, there's a
Mm-hmm.
new one has replaced it. There's been some we've seen threadbone herrings. We've seen it look like pilchards sometimes. We are identifying and trying to identify different schools of fish that we haven't seen, because when you take away one thing from one area, there's got to be something over time to hopefully come and replace it. And maybe
Yeah.
that's what's producing some more bait out there, some more things on the bottom, some more whatever's keeping these fish from completely going around us. But it's been really nice to have them out there. I don't mean to.
That's amazing.
That's
And
just a thought.
and when you say completely going around us, you mean like out, like kind of at an unreachable distance, like beyond the canyon where you drop Todd off?
Drop Todd off there at the pool. No, I'm just kidding. No, I didn't, man. But you know what? Honestly, when I say go around us, I mean they go up to North Carolina. North Carolina beats them up and beats them up and beats them up, and they have a great time and a great fishery.
Hmm.
Respect to them guys. I love them guys. But we get like a little shot and then a little tournament and then woof, gone. Then
Gone.
they go
Yeah.
right to Ocean City. Then Ocean City and Jersey, they just sit on them all summer long and they're just smoking them up there and they're just sitting out there with boats, and these boats are getting limits, they're chunking, they're doing all kind of big eyes, and it's like when I say go around, they go right around Virginia,
Mm,
like it's a bad city. So, you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like we're not eating here. There's no food here. We're out, and they just keep going like it's a travel like a
Maybe
freeway to go somewhere.
maybe they smell all the chunked menhaden that's getting slicked behind the Omega boats.
Shoot, that might actually keep them here again.
Keep it. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, you got to have to do they provide for the bluefish. They're gonna provide for every other thing. So yeah, I mean indirectly I believe it, but
Yeah.
nothing might approve any of that. So
Well, you mentioned something earlier that piqued my interest about the total number of fish that were brought to the scales at the tuna tournament. Roughly how many pounds of yellowfin tuna were weighed in total?
over 5,000 pounds were weighed in. Now
Wow.
that's not even it's 3 per boat, and the average was 5 to 8. You know what I mean? So that's a lot. We got
5,000 pounds that was weighed, considering the average fish was weighing what, about 30 pounds?
yeah, that would at least be another. It would be at least I'd say if they had 5,000, it'd be around 8,000. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a simple thing.
Wow.
5 to 8 equals 5 to 8. So yeah, it would be eight
Phew.
thousand pounds. Eight
Man,
thousand pounds at least caught, maybe almost 10, counting people that had better ones and big eyes and stuff. So yeah,
that's
we've been great.
incredible.
It's been
So, there-
so good.
so there's a lot of happy freezers in Virginia Beach right now.
Yeah, man. So check this out. So here's what we do for that tournament, man. For the tournament, we get really, really, really quiet. And we really try to go out and we do like secret missions. We
Yeah.
went out and so we went out on a charter, for example. We had a walk on setup and we went out straight out where the fish had been being caught from the 850. They moved up to the triple zeros and they were a little bit above. And so we got in that group of boats and we were out there catching our fish from the weeks before I spoke with you guys, and we caught one fish. It was a 50 pounder that saved the day coming back up the hill. Thank God we caught our day. I was out there with
Hmm.
my buddy Jim Bolts on the flying fish. He was doing pretty good. And so the next day I have another trip the next day, but I had closed it off and I had made it just for the homies. Me, Russ, Ed, and Brandon, the 4 people out of 5 that were fishing in the tournament, the PHC tuna team. And there's no other way to practice for the tuna tournament than by catching tuna. You can't get
Yeah.
better at catching tuna or gaffing tuna or leadering tuna or even running the boat without catching tuna. So that was our
Right.
mission. So I shot the boat up to the north. I had just a random feeling talk with a friend up north, and they were saying this and that about the Washington. And I thought about our range and our activity, and I was like, let's just split the difference. And I found a spot at like this 648 or something. And as soon as I stopped the boat that morning, bam, lines in, boom, we were on. We couldn't even get 3 in the water. We were already on. Fight that
Wow.
fish to the boat, get it all the way up to the boat, and the positioning of the 2 guys. I'm gonna give a tip for everybody out there. Our positioning of our mate and our leader man were a little bit incoherent because the leader man had the fish, but the more important guy is the gaff guy. So
Hmm.
our gaff guy was being polite and trying to give the leader guy room when he needs to shove his ass in there, or
Hmm.
shove his butt in there, and go ahead and stick that fish. So once we figured
Yeah.
out, hey, just be tough, run into each other. One guy steps to the left, the other guy goes in the back and gaffs. So it's a nice little system. And then we started our system. So we lost one. Boof, right by the boat. First thing I was like, no way. It was a nice one. And I was like,
Ah,
no way. I'm still like, oh guys, come on, get in there. I'm teaching. Every mistake or even things you can't control is almost still a teaching moment. You could figure some way out that you could have done a little bit better.
yeah.
Nobody's perfect out there. So
No,
we get the
no.
lines back out. We're coming back around. We got 3. We don't even have 3 more lines out. And we're on. I'm like, yeah. And Brandon screams, Marlin. And I'm like, what? And
Marlin.
I look out the back, and before I can even start looking, he jumps, and it's just tail dancing, tail walking, line just clickers on. Wah. And so I, of course, pull out the phone, and I shove the phone on, and I start video, and I zoom in, and there he goes. He jumps and starts putting on the show, and comes all the way out of the water, 2 or 3 full breaches. I mean, I'm talking classic footage. I can't wait to share.
Tail walking. Yeah.
Oh my god, and full air outs. I mean, body out all the way, like just complete porpoise. And so we're enjoying that. Brandon gets on his first marlin ever. The thing lights up blue. It kind of looked like a blue marlin because it was kind of big, but it ended up being a white marlin. So we were like, yeah, let's sweet. We caught him. We caught him on a daisy chain with a sterling tackle cedar plug behind it, a 9-inch cedar plug. It whammed an artificial bait and stuck
That's
itself in the nose.
incredible.
Sterling tackle's it's the first one ever in the whole history of the planet ever caught on a sterling tackle cedar plug.
Bangarang.
It's badass, and that's one of our companies, man, that are sponsor us and we support as well.
That's
So we'll
awesome.
give them a little shout out there. And so after that fish, man, it became we couldn't get the lines out because everything. I was in a zone. I just kept circling and bang, bang, bang. It was great. We started getting them every like 20 minutes, or we had a fish. 30 minutes, boom, 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 boom. We started getting up fast, and I have the new Starlink on there. So I was just sending my son. I'm sending everybody 8, 5, 7. We're just rolling up the line. We're catching all these fish. Everybody's getting pumped. They're like, "How are you talking to me? Catching tunas?" And so we got all the way up to, let's see, we got to cut then Ed comes up top. It's like, we never get a wham. Why can't we get a wham? I was like, well, we got to get them all out to do that. So we finally get them all out. We're moving around for a little while, and about an hour and a half later, and he's like, why can't we get a wham? And I said, all right, let me see what I can do. And I drive on a circle into this little same area, and bam, we get 4 on at a time, or 5, and we were holding on to 4. And then we're 3 out of 4 on those. We get one of them all the way to the side. It's a big one. Russ is really battling. We had our leadering down. We had our speed down. We had our timing down. We had Brandon as a cranker. When Matt gets there, we call him Home Depot. He's our buddy.
Home Depot.
Yeah, he wears that belt. You know that belt that people that work there wear, that back brace thing?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what he wears, so we call him Home Depot because he's
Oh, that's
dependable.
funny.
He's dependable and he's reliable. Dun 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 dun. Home Depot, baby.
You're
So we had
killing
home, and he cranked in
it.
all our fish for the tournament, man. Home Depot has been down. So anyway, we have now we're down. We're up to, it's only 4 of us on the boat, and we're up to 11 fish because we had 4 on. We had 8, and we had 4 on. We were out of there, but we just missed that last one. It was such a mean when it got away, popped us off. So we're down with 1 fish, and I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm gonna drive right back through where the wham is. And now, right when this is all happening, we were by ourselves all day. Not a boat in sight, nobody to follow, nobody to mess with us, nobody to push us off our marks, nobody in the tournament just coming to be like a mosquito just buzzing on you when you catch a fish. That's not everybody did in the tournament. It was some polite people, but anyway, sidetrack. So here we are. We have 1 fish to go. And usually when you get a tuna hit, you want to keep the boat in gear to get 1, beer, 2, beer, 3, beer, beer, beer. Because if you stop the boat right off the bat, you might only get 1 on. And you learn that the
Right.
hard way over the years. But the key is to get a couple on. Hopefully, so you can get a wham. Well,
Yeah.
I go right back over the area where we're just about to get in this other boat. Like I said, he found us, man. He stopped right where they had left us all alone. His boat saw me circling, came in to save his day. And I can't blame him for trying to save his day. And bang, bang, got a couple whams.
Nice.
Anyway, right in that area. So good for him. We weren't on the radio that day. We were unofficial. We weren't really, hey guys, how's it going, boys? We weren't talking to people that day.
Yeah.
We were
You were on your
talking.
secret. You were on your secret squirrel
Man,
missions.
we're doing it. Yeah, man. It's before the tournament, man. I don't. Mom, forgive me when I say this, but I punched my own mom to give. I ain't giving no info out. Everybody's the enemy, man. We kick kids or something, man. You know what I mean? Like nobody's until the tournament's over. It ain't. Then we can be friends again. Like people that go to the weigh-ins and are all nice and happy. And I'm not that guy. I don't want to say a word. I'm ready to go. It's like it's time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's the enemy. So anyway, we're out. They were cool. They got their fish. Anyway. So here we are. We're down to our last one. Sorry to sidetrack. We're down to our last fish to go. Bow, we're on. Bow, 2. I'm like, oh no. And usually you keep it going. I pulled it out of gear so we didn't get any more bites. And bow, get another bite anyway. I'm like, crap. Well, we're floating. And so we got 3 on. While we're fighting. One comes off because he was just in a rod holder and came off. I was like, sweet. We get all the way on the side of the boat and wham, and slam this fish in the face. We're like, yeah, limit early. It's 12:30. We're pumped. We got a nice juicy limit of big 40s. Nice
Oh,
good ones. They were all juicy. And so then we got the last fish on. We bring them all the way to the boat, and it's like, how do you not gaff this and eat it? All these tunas? Like, are you crazy? And it's like, all right, how do you release a tuna? So
that's a good question.
so I ran down there with the boys and I slid. I did it like a D-hook remover. I grabbed the line on the
Mhm.
leader and I slid the gaff all the way down and banged it right in the mouth. It
Okay.
took a couple but I got in the curl of the hook and it pushed loose. And when it comes to
Nice.
tuna, they're ready to go. So he smoked us, threw some
Smoked it.
water on
Yeah.
it. He smoked us. So we came back in and we did not make a post. Only thing we did was throw Brandon in the water. When you catch a marlin on the boat, your first one ever, you get tossed in the water.
Oh,
So
that's
Brandon,
funny.
so we went live when we got back. They picked up Brandon like a sack of taters. They went 1, 2, 3, and they put him back down. We're like, just joking. And then they picked him back up. We're like 1, 2, and they tossed him in the water, man. So he got his white marlin citation. We took a great dock shot and we did not post it. Believe it or not, we're gonna post it here soon just to give credit to what we did.
Yeah.
And it's gonna look good for our business as well. So that's great. Russ is chomping. He's like, when are you posting it, man? I was like, you gotta wait a little bit sometimes, and at least thank the moment. And I was looking forward to the podcast telling you about this crazy story on
Well,
how we made it there to
yeah,
the
and I want to
tournament.
hear that story. I've got a question though. So,
Fire.
when you talk about the Loran Sea lines, you were talking about being up at the near the 648, the 950.
Yeah.
For somebody who has really like no understanding of how the Loran Sea lines work, and we've got our traditional GPS that we're used to looking at, where we maybe pick a latitude, longitude point, and we go there. You know, Give me like a quick high level overview of like if I'm thinking about a Loran Sea line, like what does that actually mean?
That's a great question. Okay, back in the old days, when I say old days, I'm talking about World War II. After that, they set up this system by the military. It was called Lorancy, and they put buoys and they put radio transmitters. A radio transmission system that pretty much set up a grid. Now, this grid was used to find locations. You wouldn't have exact locations, but you could use the grid, tune your machine, and you could literally find these spots by using the grid. So they eventually, over time, that when the GPS came out, they got rid of the Loran system, but it's still in a lot of the numbers for the old timers were still in Loran. So before they could get them all in the GPS, you got to be able to do both. It's kind of like CDs and tape players when they had them both together back in the day. Anyway, so
That's a good analogy.
so you got to have them both. Now, a lot of the old timers and the people now still use those lines. Now, when they use those lines and you hear those numbers, they're talking about the continental shelf. If you went all the way up to about 600 feet, which is the continental shelf, now around 600 feet, you get a drop off to 1,000 feet and you come back up to 300 feet. Everything else kind of smooths out for lots and lots of miles. But from that point, 600 feet is a good bearing of where the continental shelf begins.
Got it.
So when you go out that far and you get to that 600 foot right on there, that's when they look at they look at the bottom numbers, and there's three right there. It's just triple zeros right there, and that's where
Got
you
it.
can find them. Now, for me, this is going to be sound unbelievable to a lot of people, but for 18 to 20 years, 25 years, or whatever, until 3 years ago, I never had Loran on my machines. It just never, because the Loran machine I had, Lowrance didn't have it for me, but the Garmin does.
Okay.
So I never had those, and but I memorized over the years the weather buoys, the 300, the canyons, this number, all these, the 850s down below the triple zeros. Like, you know what I mean? I had all these, and I even made a waypoint said the triple zeros on my thing,
Hmm.
so I knew as a bearing. And I sat there and memorized. And people say where they're at, and I'm just like, I just memorized and tried to. That's how I found these spots. It's so hard, but now you have all these different ways to do it, and that's the Loran number. So that's where
Okay.
that's what they like to use. It's a good way of communicating for that. It helps. It just helps
Yeah,
put
like
you
a
right on the stuff.
quick, shout over the radio. It's probably a little easier to understand that and get located than trying to remember like a whole bunch of latitude and longitude numbers.
Yeah. Also, it keeps the people that don't have it away from you too, right?
Right.
And that's the
Uh,
smaller guys that are more inexperienced. They're just kind of like these. But now nobody talks on the radio at all. They just got
right.
all they all text. Carolina just texts the whole time. The radio's quiet. Up here during the tournament, nah, Starlink's going, but
Starlink.
not really during the tournament. No one wants to talk at all except for the guys that already followed each other out there and made a big pile to begin with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's an interesting point about Starlink, and even just thinking about like the future, like 5 years from now, like will there still be radio communication? I'm sure there will be for like emergency stuff, but you know, the ability to communicate privately without coming over the radios definitely a advantage with Starlink, especially when you're out there.
Yeah, man, we had our Starlink installed by Kevin from Waypoint Marine. Man, he's
Hmm.
super awesome. It was $1,800, but man, it is the best investment I've ever made. I thought it was gonna be a little more expensive. Dude, I booked a charter 80 miles out the other day.
That's
I'm booking.
wild.
Yeah, man, I'm out there talking on the phone and stuff, and you can watch videos, and I don't do that, but it's like, man, it's a whole. Pandora works the whole time. I mean, yeah, it's cool. You got some good music. All
That's
right, man,
amazing.
I got a big story for you coming up.
Yeah, man, I want to hear this. So, to set the stage properly, I mean, we've talked about it so many times on the show. Half of the challenge of being a charter captain is that you basically have to be like a level one, two, and sometimes three boat mechanic to stay afloat and stay operational every fishable day out of the year. Like, you don't have time to be
Yeah, you
broken
got to be.
down.
You got to be a manager too. You got to be an office manager. You got to be the cleanup guy. You got to be the finance guy, the tax guy. You got. There's a lot that comes with this stuff, man. It's a lot
Yeah,
more than that looks.
you're running a floating small business, and the cash flow depends on one thing: both those motors firing up every morning when you go to leave the dock. So there's the stage set. So talk us through the 12 to 24 hours leading up to playing hookie's debut, not debut, but playing hookie's day fishing on Friday in the Virginia Beach Tuna Tournament.
All right. Well, the ball's on the tee, guys. Listen to this. You're never gonna believe it. All right. You're me. You're out on the boat. You've got a returning group, Roman and his kids and his family, and they've got an 8 hour inshore trip. You've already shot down to Sandbridge. You've already smoked a nice catch of Spanish mackerel. It's 3 hours into the trip. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. You're feeling you brought all your buddies down there. They had a great catch too. And you're moving. You know what? The group's like we of course we had to Russ with Russ's awesomeness. He's got 6 rods out. We get a 5 banger, boom, and we get six. We get 6 covered up, and we get all 6 in the boat. And after you catch, you're having fun. You're catching that many fish, and they're like, "Well, we've had enough. What else can we do? Look, can we go cobia fishing now?" And I'm like, "Sure can. Let's do it." They want to pull the plug. Sounds good to me. Let's go. You know, I'm feeling frisky that day. I want to make a run from the north end of Sandbridge. I'm going to the bay. That's where I'm feeling. Sometimes you just throw it. Your gut's like right there. I'm gonna go to the mouth and work my way in.
Yep.
And that was just my gut plan from there, just to improve the time and get some breeze and move it up and have a good time. Anyway, we go to put the boat in gear. We put the boat in gear. Everything's great. We're moving, and I just feel, ooh, I'm like, dude, we slow down a little bit, and we usually don't slow down when I got them in gear. I look back, and I'm like, and I look back, we're okay. I push it back again. I'm like, let me slow down and listen. And then boom, slowly, boop, port motor dies. I'm like,
Oh
oh
no.
no, port motor dies. I was like, let's check it out. So I run down there and I check the filters, and you got to imagine with 27 hours and 2,600 hours on each motor. I've changed the oil
A lot.
28 times two motors, 28 times two. That's going to be 56 times in 2 years. So, and filters and plugs and everything.
Oh
I do it
yeah.
all. So anyway, I go ahead and pull the filter off. The first thing I think is we lost fuel. It's cranking. It just won't fire. It's not getting fuel.
Right,
So we
right.
check the ball.
Something's
Ball's hard.
clogged or yeah.
Yeah, ball's hard. You go to the bottom and you're just like, all right, well, we're not getting, or maybe it's spark. And then you're just, all right, well, we did everything we could. Saw we couldn't do anymore. And it's 10 a.m. And of course we think, holy crap, we just lost the port motor the day before the tournament. Now, when I tell you about, say, the tournament, James Schmidt from Pennsylvania, man, he's one of our angels, man, and this guy runs a killer company, and they do a lot of work good for people in hospitals and stuff. But they sponsored us for the tournament all in. That's $5,200,
Wow.
guys. $5,200 resting over playing hookie's head because they believed that we were going to have a good time. They wanted their company to be represented by playing hookie. So I took pride in that. And as soon as that motor boomed, I didn't just feel like, oh my God, the guys, the tournament, my charters, the whole weekend, my whole life, Russ's life. I thought, damn, this guy sponsored us, man. Dang it. I got a little
That's a
more
lot of
heat.
pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, we just got our Sterling Tackle sponsorship re-upped, and we were ready to go on that. They just gave us a whole bunch of stuff, so we were looking forward to representing them. Anyway, so
Mm.
the first thing you do when this all hits the fan is you try your best not to react. You know your heart's on the floor. You know
Oh God, yeah.
but you're like, it's 10 a.m. We're gonna give you a 4 hour trip. We're gonna get you to the dock. Russ is taking a dock shot. I've got the cover off. I'm working hard as I can. I'm spraying, talking to Troy Marine. They got us. Troy's already, yo, dude, spray some of this and we spray some carb cleaner in the intake,
Yeah.
and it turns over. So I'm like, man, if it turns over, that
Ah,
means you're just not getting fuel. So
yeah.
it's one of my fuel pumps. But which one is it? All right, and who
The
has
low
it, man?
pressure, the high
Who's
pressure, the
check? Yeah.
VST. Yeah.
Well, inside the VST, there's a high pressure on this one, and there's the outside of it's called the lift pump,
Hmm.
which would be the low pressure to some people. The same thing. So one is easy to work on. The one that's down at the bottom, the high pressure, is super hard.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? It's middle of summer. Who in the heck's got a time to pull a boat in or to do anything about this? We know we're almost on our own, but talking with Troy Marine, man, I'm like, you know what? We need to get it out of the water, and we're gonna take it out to them, and they're gonna throw it on the thing and tell us what it is. Andrew, AJ, at Troy Marine, and I have a good relationship,
Andrew
and
Kaiser,
yeah, I
the
think
service
so.
manager. Yeah.
Yeah, me and him are
Yeah.
good buddies, and we do a lot for each other. I help them, and they definitely put a priority on us, and I
Oh
appreciate that.
yeah.
So I go out. So you got to imagine it's smoking hot in the parking lot, but I drag that boat up there. We got to fold the tower down. We got to pull the lifeboat off at the fuel dock. We got to fold the tower. We got to get the trailer from the house. We got to run that thing and get the outriggers down. Run that thing all the way up to Carrollton, Virginia, 50 miles away.
This is after being up early, running a
6 a.m.
charter,
And the day
cleaning fish,
and the
cleaning
day
the
before was tuna. The day before was a
Jeez.
20-hour tuna trip, cleaning tunas, drinking beer, having a good time. So we're already,
Man.
we're already against
Little
the
cooked
clock a little
already,
bit,
yeah.
just a little. So we get the boat out there, and you're talking rush hour traffic. Food wasn't an option. Drinking water was barely a thought. You get all the way out to Troy, and on the way out to Troy, my mind is going in so many directions that I've already went to look up the parts. Troy Marine doesn't think they'll be able to get the parts till they know which one it is. So I'm sitting, and we could be covered by warranty, so they got to talk to them and get it sent, and they could
Oh
maybe
yeah.
overnight it. There's a chance, but I don't take chances.
Yeah.
I like knowing. So we call around, and nobody has either pump. There's none. There's not even an overnight chance, basically. So I call Centerville Marine on the way, and Centerville's a cool guy. He's like, man, you know what? We go. I actually home. What's the serial number again? And he's like, I got one of those in my hand right now, and he's got a low pressure pump out there at Centerville. And I'm like, there's no way, you're the man, dude. He's like, I was like, I'm gonna be here at Troy, but I gotta come to you while they diagnose the boat. I can't because you're gonna be leaving at 5. He's like, I'll set it outside for you. I already paid the 900.
No.
I already paid the $900 for it. I was like, we're paying for it right now, and if it if it ain't the right one, I'll just give it back, kind of deal.
Yeah.
And so we get all the way out to Troy Marine. I'm associated, found the part. I'm stoked, and boom, bah, Troy Marine puts it. Andrew and all the guys, Clark, the helper, the new helper, and Gary. I mean, not Gary, and not Gary was. Yeah, Gary was there too. Everybody in Troy Marine was. If I
Oh
could have
my
taken a
gosh.
picture, they're all like standing there looking at the patient, which is my boat, and I'm standing outside, like right off the set of the driveway. Like I don't want to go in and make them nervous, but I don't want to go too far away where I can't see her to make sure she's okay. She's like
Yeah.
she's my girlfriend.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
you all right, girl? It's like talk to me, but I don't want to bother you guys. Do your thing. You know what I mean? I'm pacing it like I'm giving childbirth, bro. I'm waiting for the baby. They put the thing on there. They're like, they do a couple little things, and they're like, boom, high pressure inside the VST in the bottom of the motor.
No. The
I'm
hard
like,
one.
the hard one and the one they can't get, and then they go inside and they can't get overnight. And so we were
Hold on,
already
hold on,
planning.
hold on, hold on. So we're talking the day before the tournament,
Yes,
the high pressure pump inside the VST is shot. No one
4:30
can get it.
p.m. 4:30
4:30 p.m.
p.m.
on Thursday, and you're supposed to fish Friday,
Friday. Yep,
which means
because
you're leaving at 2 in the morning typically, right?
no,
Like 2 or 3 in the morning.
for that trip to leave for that one, we'd have to leave at 1.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. So
uh,
you're
uh,
literally up against the clock and you've already filled out your lay day paperwork and everything. So
Nope,
like you have to fish.
now you have till 7 a.m. the next day, and I had already
Okay.
told awesome organizers. They're Bob Sinclair, and I didn't tell him, but I already had talked with you, and because she was asking me about my lay day,
Yeah.
and I said, well, look, everyone kept asking me if we are going to go or not, if I got it fixed. I said, guys, I can't answer any of these questions, guys, until I have a boat or not. I got to
Yeah.
have a boat or not, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
We were planning to go tomorrow. The reason we wanted to go Friday, and the reason we wanted to go in the biggest waves and the gnarliest stuff, is because the bite was just right there. We knew where it was the main reason. Second reason is we knew all the other boats would go on the main day. They're nice, easy, sweet day.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
knew we'd have an advantage, and only 21 out of 125 went the first day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's what it ended up being. But we weren't sure if we were going to make the first day or the second at all. We didn't even know we were going to the tournament, dude. We might have been out. And no,
Oh.
let's be honest. This is playing hooky, and I have a Seahawk 25 at the house, and we were like, if we have to, we'll take the Seahawk 25 and go old school and fricking go get it in the old boat like we used
Oh.
to. But the old boat doesn't make it that far. We were gonna have to bring another 14 gallons and do a whole bunch of this and that and anyway. But that was already in the mindset. Like here we go, we're gonna do this, and then Russ was dedicated. He was with the dream, dude. He was wherever we gotta do, Captain. I told my girl we ain't coming home till we get her done. So I'm like, all right, now I look at the mechanics and I go, hey guys, I got a wild idea, man. My mechanic brain's telling me, can you go back inside to your computer, look up the 2023, the 2022, 2023 motor on the Seahawk 25 and tell me if the part at the bottom of that motor is compatible. They come back in and I'm like, I'm waiting on the answer from the doctor. And they're like, yeah, it's compatible. I'm like, what? All right, cool. We get the boat.
No.
I strap the boat back to the thing, put it back on the truck. We ride an hour and a half back home. It's 7:30, 8 o'clock, dude. Andrew Flory comes over. I got Ed, my old
Yeah,
planning
yeah. I
mate.
saw Andrew
Ed's
down on the
awesome.
high hopes Saturday night.
Andrew
Yeah.
came and slid by, dude. And we have me and Brandon and Matt lives across the street. Our other Home Depot lives right across the street. So we're good to go. We got the whole tuna team there, and we crack a beer at 8 o'clock and start taking apart the old motor, dude. We pull off the VST, we pull out the high pressure pump. It's only got 450 hours. I say only. And then then we go over to the old boat, the new boat. We put it in there carefully, put it all
Oh.
together, tape up the bottom, put the muffs on it. snaps it right over. Bah!
Oh my God.
Ed's like, looks like we're going tomorrow, man. We can do it. And I was thinking of Ed the whole time. I was like, bro, you were daring the wrong daredevil. Like, stop saying we're gonna do it because you're gonna make me do it. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we maybe, maybe. So I was like, all right, let's put the boat back in the water for the water test, and then we'll decide what we're gonna do. Well, we put the boat in, put the outriggers up, put the tower up. We're in the parking lot. It's 10 o'clock. My son comes riding by. He's getting off work at Mahi Ma's. He stops in the parking lot. What up, Dad? It's the only time he's seen me for a couple of days. He's like, what up? How's it going? This and that. And he leaves. And he goes, man, I can see it later in your face. You were nervous, buddy. And I was like, yeah, well, I had the things riding on it. So we put the boat back in the water. I gun it in Rudy. We test it. Tests out great. Put it back over at the boat before I can put it at the fuel dock to put the lifeboat on. We get caught in a monsoon,
Oh,
like
that
it was
storm Thursday
blowing
night was crazy.
so it was blowing so hard. I had to hold the boat in the middle of the inlet, but we kept getting blown sideways down the creek, and we were getting pushed back up. It was insane. We put the boat finally when it's almost done raining. We put the lifeboat back on. We tie the ropes on the dock of our slip at 11:30 p.m. Look at the guys.
No.
We fueled it up to the brim just in case, and I was like, when they went to fuel it, I was like, we're sending it, boys. And we knew it was going to be gnarly, but we knew behind our boat, it's a commercial build, that our boat's tough, man. We really didn't.
Oh yeah.
So if we were going to go, we were going to go. And then we were like, all right, went home at 12:08 a.m. I said set alarm for 12:40 a.m. And we laid down, boom, alarm went off. Matt came over. 1 p.m. we untied from the poles and off we went, man. We sent that thing. And I figured, look, man,
Gosh.
there's no better way to test your boat than to go 90 miles in 8 to 12-foot seas. That's the best way to do it. Says don't do what we did. Don't do it. Okay, so,
Dude, I am like my
all right,
anxiety is so peaked just trying to
dude,
like
I'm
put
telling you, dude,
myself in that moment of like
send
taking
it.
a 40-minute nap knowing that I got a 15, 18-hour day ahead of me, 20-hour day ahead of me, and then not knowing if the VST pump that I just pulled is gonna I could be stranded, There's just so many so
Ah,
many scary variables, dude. That's
man,
insanity.
when it comes to the charter business and working on the boats, we really don't talk about what we do too much, so everyone just understands it's a good boat. But if you looked at a mechanic or you looked at a NASCAR and the guy's changing the pumps last minute, do you think they're worried about that car running? Nope, they're sending it because they
Yeah.
trust themselves and they trust their work, and it doesn't make other people comfortable to know they're working on their boat all the time. But we're not.
Yeah.
This boat's done us really well. Troy Marine's been there. We've had
Oh
like
yeah.
one trim thing, and that was it for the whole motors. But all right,
Yeah.
back to the story. So we send it at 1 a.m. and I'm thinking we're gonna do like I was like, all right, 12 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour times this many hours. We're looking at a 5 hour run. I do 25 miles an hour for almost 2 hours. I'm amazed. I'm like, and this boat just eating it. We get out there a little further and it's pushing from behind us. So it's slowly getting bigger. I take my nap. I get a 40-minute quick. That's it. Another 40 minutes. Ooh, that was it for days. Anyway, so I take that 40 minutes. I get back up and take and handle the seas going in, and we get there an hour and a half early, like before the spot. And I do this calculation where I don't want to get there and have to turn back around and see these giant monsters that are gonna subside. We know after a few hours of fishing, it's supposed to subside, but it was huge. So I was like, an hour and a half. I calculated. I was like, we're an hour and a half ahead of everybody, and we had left where nobody could see us. Nobody had a chance to find us, but we put it in. I put it on 7 miles an hour, put it on cruise control, and we just trolled our way in real slow with the behind us, and then boat by boat, we're like right there, and another boat behind us, and another boat to the side of us, and I'm like, wow, we're traveled from our that one day that it's they went out there and made their own catches and word traveled. So there was a group of guys coming up there.
Yeah.
Lights came on, lines went over. There's a swarm, and the swarm was right in on us, and it kind of pushed off, and we stayed where we were the other day. And we eventually got a bite. We eventually had a bite. We were stoked. Got him. Did we lose the first one? Did we catch him? Did we get one in the
I mean,
boat?
it's
I don't
probably hard to
remember.
remember when you have like
It is
27,
it
27 total minutes of sleep.
That was it, bro. So we get one fish and it outswam the boat. We thought it was a wahoo because it was a really good run. Get this thing on the side of the boat and it pulled the hook when it slaughtered back its way over. We were screaming, cranking on Home Depot too hard, and he should have probably not so cranked so hard. But either way, we lost that one, but we got another one in the boat, and it was a nice one. We were like, sweet, this is a nice 35-pounder. We're looking okay. So we start to catch some fish, and we see some other boats catching fish too. We don't want to go over there up their ass or nothing. It's a tournament, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it and all, but that's not how everybody is. Well, most of us were respectful out there. I gotta admit it. And then we come back after we had got that fish. A little small boat, came in, pushed us off our spot, and you're looking at them. They're not even looking where they're going. They knew probably, but they're just trying to catch one where we just caught one. So pretty much we're trying to, all we did was circle back to where we just, and it's already, there's a boat pushing us out of where we went. So we politely go around them once and then they do it again and then they do it again. And it's like, it's a local charter captain that, the new guy that loves to get the negative attention. But anyway,
Yeah.
no
Yep.
names needed, but it was just not cool. And everybody would know it, anybody out there. So it didn't rub us right after what we had been through. It was like, man, whatever. Look, we didn't post anything about it. We didn't tell everybody about it. We didn't want anybody to know at the tuna party because we didn't want any sympathy. We didn't go, oh, poor you guys. But when you lose a motor before the thing and you miraculously pull this miracle off, we're stoked to have a tuna. We were stoked to be running, and we were still
Oh
stoked to be
yeah.
together, fishing together. So we were all right. Well, it comes towards the end of the day. It's getting down to crunch time. I pull away from the circle finally because we got pushed off it a couple times. And I was like, you know what? I circle back and we get a blistering big bite. It's a 40 something pounder, which is great. We're stoked. The time runs out. We're trying to get another one, and that's that. So we get all the way back and we're running back and we have a 40 we're third place. We did 42 miles an hour, buddy, on the way in. So when everyone
Man.
we smoked every single boat on the way in. We were like one of the third or fifth to weigh in that day. And that was
First out, first back.
first out, first back, buddy. And the boat was running great. So we got back and weighed our fishing. Connie weighed us in, and Ewing, and we were in third. We held third place overnight on the first day. Now you need to tell you that's a win. Just winning
Yeah.
was that was. I mean, there's a win and there's a win. I think looking back, we'll always know it was a win because of what we pulled off and what we did. We were
Yeah.
worried about fishing the last day. There wouldn't be no fish. And to be honest, the last day, Saturday, there was plenty of fish. We could have made that other decision and rested our bodies. But I don't think, I told, and I mean this with all my heart and soul. You guys have heard me on the show a few times talking. I'm pretty passionate. But I tell you like this. If we would have won, or if we did it good, or whatever we did, if we would have won it, there's no other way I would have had it
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah.
Because that's the definition of playing.
Oh
It
yeah.
came from nothing.
Yep.
We grinded our whole way behind the scenes, hard as we could, knowing we worked harder than we could possibly push our bodies,
Yep.
and we did it. So when we didn't win the tournament, we still did it, man. We were still proud. We didn't tell
You know,
everybody the story, but they interviewed us when we got back, and I was dead when I was giving the interview, and I gave an interview to them right there at the dock and told them what happened. Everyone was amazed, but there's no other way to be in them shoes unless you're a charter captain or a boat owner and
yeah.
know that feeling of how much we train and how forward we look to this tournament and how much pressure we want on ourselves. And honestly, between you and me, I love to win. I want to win bad so bad. I'm not going to beat around the bush. We don't even have to put money on the tournament. We can all show up and eat food, and I will want to win. I just want
Yeah.
to win. Everybody does, I hope. But I played good no, I want to win. So we had a lot of, we weren't depressed or nothing, but we had a lot we wanted to do. And it just made us look even hungrier for the next year and the next year after.
That's awesome. Well, I want to say this because it's such an inspiring story to hear. And like you said, it would have made for the most epic Cinderella story to like have this crazy, crazy, challenge to overcome, defying the odds, sourcing parts, logistics all over the 757, people here, parts being left outside the building there, 40-minute naps, and then to somehow like pull off the win out of 150 boats. It would have been
Yeah,
nuts. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But
man.
I'll tell you this because I had a text conversation with my golf hypnotherapist, my mindset coach after my 2-day member guest tournament where we narrowly won. And
Nice.
this is what came out of that conversation that winning is not a trophy, it's executing your plan. And if you execute your plan and the result is winning a trophy, that's great too. And I feel like for you guys, the win was executing your plan and showing the sheer like grit of your team to be able to come together and get that boat out of the water and figure that out. I mean, nobody else would have been fishing Friday. Nobody else would have been fishing Friday after overcoming those odds. So you win the trophy for, the most grit, hands down. My hat's off to you for that, Captain Bill.
Thank you, buddy. I don't know if fish have balls, but I know we do.
You're
I know
killing
it.
you're killing me tonight, man. Well,
FFQG, we're good.
absolutely. Well, I
Man,
mean, in terms of like, so obviously you guys burnt the candle both ends and the middle, upside down, inside out. But what's next for playing hooky? Obviously, these tuna are hanging out for a little while, so there's going to be some opportunity, folks, to get on there with you and go chase those. But looking into the weeks ahead, what's on your horizon to go target?
Well, today we saw some of our best friends and a group of mahi chose the wrong boat today, and they got tore up. They were like, "Oh, is this playing hooky?" And then they're in the cooler. It was just too late. It was too late for them, man. They just like, "Well, I guess we might as well just jump right in there." And so, man, but yeah, okay. So for what's coming up is the Kobe is starting to pop off. Everyone's having fun with these tournaments. Inshore, that's fine for that. We'll do some of those, but we're really looking forward to offshore. The tuna's still here, red hot. We're gonna be doing a couple charters this weekend for tuna. We're gonna have a walk on. I don't know if this will be broadcast in time, but we have a walk on coming for Saturday,
Okay,
and that's gonna be 520 a person for includes a tip. We're gonna go out for tuna. Take six
perfect.
guests, and we're gonna go. Also, we're gonna go. Lots of tuna fishing we're looking to do, and we're also looking to do the mahi fishing. We're gonna go out to the fads and do some fishing and go out there and catch some fish and do what we really love to do is get a lot of people happy with some mahi fishing. We'll do a little bit of that, and we'll see. We got some. I guess that's about all, man. We're just gonna do some inshore, some offshore, and get away from this heat.
Absolutely. The heat's been brutal. I think you said today is the first time in your entire fishing career you've ever taken your shirt off during a charter. I mean, that's just how hot it was today. The heat index was like what, 110, 112 or something
Man,
ridiculous.
it was kind of a little both, man. It was a little bit it was kind of for the heat, but it was mainly because we had a really cool crew of fathers, sons, and grandpas that were chill. They were regulars that returned, and there were some other people back and forth. And I was like, you know what? They're cool enough down there. They're having a great time. First of all, and it was also that maybe playing hookies finally made it, where I'm like, I don't have to be that professional. I mean, that's all I do is live, eat, sleep, breathe, playing hooky, which
Yeah,
is great for the business, man. It doesn't, but it also tells you I got something to share about that, guys. I have a great Marlin video coming out, and I have a
oh,
great tuna gaffing shots for Sterling tackle and some cool stuff to post, guys. We've been holding out, and we're actually going to make a huge post for this tuna stuff. And I'm not sure when this is coming out, Luke, but I tell you what, I'm going to make a post with this whole story. Try to type it into words for people that haven't tuned into Spotify, Luke's Killer Podcast yet. But they'll be
yeah,
able they'll be able to get a little piece of that story too, man. But I'm also going to put in the post that it's on the podcast if they want to hear me tell the story. 'Cause
perfect.
I got
It'll be episode 60, so it'll be easy for folks to find it. I just think it's one of those stories that needs to be told and people understand that the level of determination that sometimes goes into making it happen behind the scenes. Charter guests and friends of people that own boats sometimes don't understand how good they have it when they meet their buddy at the dock or show up and step on and there's rods that are rigged and there's dropper loops that are tied and there's ample weights and there's bait and there's ice and there's gas and the boat runs and there's life jackets and fishing licenses and all these things that go into just being able to catch a darn fish and eat it, and they just don't have a concept of how much goes into it until they get to sit here and listen cross their legs and sit down for story time with Captain Bill and understand exactly what went into it.
Oh yeah, man. If you don't, they might try to grasp it, but it's like you say, if you don't live that life and you haven't had a boat or can imagine that pressure, I'm sure hopefully someone can imagine that feeling of getting ready to do a car race and you blow a motor right
Yeah.
before the car race that you've been waiting to do for like a whole year just to
Oh
go ahead,
yeah. Oh yeah.
So and that's this is our favorite tournament besides the next being the sword.
Yeah, the sword tournament. Well, I mean, I felt a minor version of that. I actually thought about you yesterday because we're taking some of my coworkers fishing, and a buddy of mine was coming, and he already had some live baits from the day before, which with cobia fishing is absolutely critical to have good bait, good live
Sure.
bait. In order to keep live bait alive, you have to have a working live well. And I dropped the boat in the water, and I flipped the switch for the bait well to start filling it, and nothing. And I'm like, oh no, we're not having a fishing trip because we don't have a working bait well.
Oh man, that could ruin a trip.
And I just thought to myself, like, what would Bill do in a situation like this? I'm like, you have to get methodical, you have to start thinking it through. And sure enough, just started going through the systems, identified the issue, a loose, electrical connection that had popped off the back of a switch rocker panel. Boom, popped it back on. We're back in business, rock and rolling. And it made me think about what you posted, which is where there's a Bill, there's a way.
There's a way. That's what that was. That's what that meant. I didn't tell everybody what that meant, but that's what it meant for us. We were,
Uh,
we were very happy to be back.
this has been one of my favorite story times with you, I think, of all time, because it's such a testimony to human nature's will to just figure it out. When you really want to put your mind to something, people, you can do it. So folks that are listening are like, I got to get out there and chase something that has a tail with Captain Bill on Plain Hooky. What's the best way for them to contact you and get booked aboard Plain Hooky charters?
Well, if you listen to any Luke's podcast, we say it at the end every time. It's playinhookeycharters.com, PLAYINHOOKEY, charters.com. You can hit that, or you can give me a call at 757 or a text 757-619-3530. And if you were on a boat today and you caught mahi, all you had to do was tune back a few episodes and you can get the tahi mako recipe right off of this podcast I shared with the guys. They were so happy, like, really cool. They're going to look it all up and they're going to have some dinner and be able to make some. That's what I'm having tonight. It's
And
tacos.
what were the names of the guys on the trip today that caught the mahi?
Oh, we had a bunch of guys. We had Rick on there. We had Bass. We had both Basses, Bass and Bass's dad. We had it starts with L. Lawrence. Yeah, we had
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Yep, it was Lawrence on there. Lawrence is going to be the one in the picture. He was the oldest gentleman. He was the grandfather. And we had Nick.
Awesome.
We had Nick from Nick is the officer, and we had Lawrence's grandson. So
Well,
I got all the names.
all those guys hopefully will get a hold of this show at some point and get to hear me say, as a firsthand experience or recipient of Tahi Makos, they are the best damn fish tacos you will ever eat.
Man, I'm having those in about an hour. Yeah.
They're so good. I mean, it's such a simple recipe, but executed properly, it's unbelievable. Hands down, the best mahi tacos, tahi makos I've ever had. I should say, prior to meeting you and having tahi makos, they were always just mahi tacos.
Yeah, we had it right after golf, didn't we, one day?
We did, absolutely. That's a
Oh,
terrible
cool.
day, going golfing with your fishing buddy and then having tahi makos. Somebody's got to suffer and do it. Captain Bill, it's always a pleasure having you on the show, man. Thank you so much for making time for our listeners and for me to tell the incredible story of where there's a bill, there's a way.
You got it, man. You know what we always say, get booked and get hooked.
Absolutely. Folks, that's going to wrap up an absolutely killer segment, getting to hear the epic adventures of Captain Bill surrounding the Virginia Beach Tuna Tournament. Shout out to Bob Sinclair, Ewing, Connie, and all the other folks that worked so hard, Bubba Fleming, to make that event possible. We might get to hear from him next week. Y'all stick around for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with you real soon. Boaters know that the unexpected can happen anytime. That's why Seatow offers 24/7 on-water assistance with priority service for members. Whether it's a dead battery, running out of fuel, or needing a tow, Seatow's fleet is ready to help. Membership includes unlimited towing with no distance or dollar limits in your home area, fuel delivery, jump starts, and more. Plus, members receive exclusive discounts on fuel, electronics, dockage, and boat insurance. With over 500 ports nationwide, Seatow has you covered wherever you boat. Join today at seatow.com and boat with confidence. Whether you're hitting the sand with set rigs using the traditional scent strips for pompano or fishing the flats or marshes for speckled trout, redfish, and flounder, Fish Bites has something for you. They're family owned and operated in St. Augustine, Florida, and pride themselves on making reliably consistent fishing products for anglers of all ages around the world. Fish Bites bait and lures are made with pride in the Sunshine State, USA. Check out the full line of scented saltwater and freshwater baits at fishbites.com. Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture. Built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine-grade aluminum with a protective anti-corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast-drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Doc. Check out the full collection at killerdoc.com today. Looking to protect your dock with materials built to last? Shoreline Plastics has you covered. As leaders in composite marine dock pilings and building materials, they engineer solutions that stand the test of time. Their EcoPile is the ultimate composite piling designed for longevity and eco-friendliness, ensuring your dock remains strong for years. And if you need a quick fix for worn pilings, try Snap Jacket, a durable solution that restores and extends their life. Visit shorelineplastics.com to discover how you can elevate your next marine project. Shoreline Plastics, where durability meets innovation. Sam Rust Seafood, your locally trusted source for premium wholesale seafood, servicing customers from Hampton Roads down through the Outer Banks, Richmond, and surrounding areas, including Fredericksburg, Charlottesville, and Lynchburg, for over 80 years. Committed to the highest standards in the industry, Sam Rust distributes the best of the ocean directly to your restaurant, hotel, or grocery store on time and at a great price. Visit samrust.com to discover how quality, tradition, and sustainability come together. So don't cuss, call Sam Rust. All right, y'all, it's time to go up the east side of the bay and then head a little north and then head a little more north and run up towards all the cool islands and barrier stuff and Chincoteague and Assateague and Crisfield and Smith Island and Tangier Island to catch up with old Captain C.L. Marshall from Tangier Island Sound Charters. How we doing, Captain? What's new?
We're doing great, Luke. Man, it's a little crispy out there today, and you know, we were fortunate enough to have the day off after a pretty good run. We've had a pretty good run here lately. Had good customers, you know, good folks on the boat, good fishing folks on the boat, and we've had a pretty good run, and it felt good to have a day off. Admittedly, I've been outside once. It's kind of nice out there, I guess, but it's been nice to have the day off. But you know, I did spend a good part of it getting ready for tomorrow and the next upcoming forever.
Yeah.
We're fortunate about that. So yeah, man, it's been good.
Good deal, man. Well, for those that are, getting to hear your voice for the first time, we've had you on the show several times and you do something pretty unique up there that, is kind of tucked away that most folks don't know about. For those that are hearing your voice for the first time or hearing Tangier Sound Charters for the first time, tell us just a little bit about, the boat, where you're located, where your reach is, and what kind of species that you guys typically target.
Well, first off, Luke, I want to thank you guys for allowing us to do this, man. I mean, you guys have a great platform for not only myself, but for all the local guides and fishing businesses around the area, and your sponsors. And it allows us to to get to tell about what we do, and it's greatly appreciative. And we're fortunate that we got a lot of good guides in the area, a lot of good operators in the area who do a great job at what they do. And we at Tangier Sound Charters, we do things just a little bit different. We try to, I tell people when they get on the boat for the first time that, that I said, listen, I can't promise you what we're going to catch, but I will promise you this, you will get my best effort. And that's one thing I try to do every day. Some days we don't catch fish, and I post daily on social media about what we do. And last week I put up a picture of a skunk because it was awful, man.
Oh no.
I should have, and I zigged this, that. It just one of them days it didn't work out. But
Yeah.
anyhow, but we've been real fortunate, and we're fishing. We're lucky up here because we have a tremendous amount of options of things to do, much like in the Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads area. But we're up here. We fish a lot of skinny water, for red drum. We've been doing that. Yesterday I had 90-degree water in one place, and
Wow.
yeah, it was damn near boiling. So that's got me thinking that my shallow water red bite, might be slowing a little bit. I stayed late last night. I stayed till damn near 10 o'clock, and it did never materialize. So we were able to do that. Speckled trout has been a mystery up here. We normally see them by this time of year. We haven't caught maybe a dozen or so, all on top water baits, and the ones we've caught have been nice. I haven't caught anything under 24 inches. Isn't that weird?
Wow.
I haven't caught anything that's not a citation, but I haven't caught many of them, and that's what's troubling about that. The puppy drum, they've just started to show up. We're catching them on some popping corks and the like, the small res, and we hope that that'll continue over the next few months. Bluefish has been a load of fun. We've been catching just a load of them on top water. That's one of my favorite things, man. I mean, people give fish a bad name because they don't eat real well, but I don't find them offensive at all.
Yeah.
Kind of like redheads, it's a matter of taste. And we it's just been a lot of fun on top water. You're catching 3, 5, 8-pound bluefish on top water. They're blowing up. That's been cool.
When you catch bluefish like that, because you mentioned the top water bite for speckled trout. Take me back to that for a second and tell me about the type of top water plug and how you're working it to get those big citation bites from speckled trout, because that's a hard fish to get, on a top water in my experience. So what are you doing different to get those bites and get them tight?
Location, we're blessed up here to have a lot of if you could some of these places, Luke, if you could draw it up with a sketch pen about what perfect habitat for big speckled trout would be, it would be up here. Big expansive grass flats, adjacent to deep water points. I mean, just unbelievable, beautiful stuff. Islands out in the middle of the bay that are relatively untouched, that don't have a lot of traffic by them. So, they're the areas that we're fishing for these things. And the primarily reason we went to topwater is because of the resurgence in subaquatic vegetation of many different types kind of prohibited us from fishing swim baits and stuff in there. So we said, shit, let's try it up top, see what happens.
Yeah.
And, we started off with the Zara spooks and and the Mara lures and all that stuff. And the Mara lures are good, don't get me wrong. But I've switched up to two things primarily, and I've caught 80% of my fish on them this year, topwater, both speckles, and it doesn't really matter with the bluefish, but rockfish as well. I picked up this one lure from Yozuri. It's their new, it's like a wake bait, which walks the dog right under the water and right on top of the water without having to walk the dog. It gives anglers with little experience of fishing topwater a great opportunity, and it comes in that sexy purple color that I like. So. And so that kind of drew me to it. And then I had a lot of success with that. That's been a good one. You have to replace the hooks on them. The hooks are a little on the crappy side, but that's okay. When you got somebody on the boat who's not real familiar with topwater and has never had a positive experience with it, and you can put something in their hand where they're on an equal playing field with someone else that's using my new favorite, the Lonely Angler topwaters, and it's a good thing. It gives them an opportunity to catch some fish that way. This other one I mentioned, Luke, that we've been real successful with. And again, a lot of it's location, fishing location, being very quiet. And, when I say quiet, I mean no trolling motor, no radio, no throwing beer cans in the bottom. And we're hunting.
Wow.
You're hunting these fish.
Got it. Yeah.
And if you talk, it's at a whisper. No, it's not that bad. But we're hunting these fish in times when it is real still, and when it is very quiet and sound and voices carry. So we try to be as stealthy as them. But this other lure, man, it's been a good one. It's called it's made by this little guy in Annapolis called the Lonely Angler, and I just got this vision of him sitting in his workshop with his little devious mind trying to craft the perfect topwater lure. And damn if he ain't got a good one. It's a little bit bigger. The thing weighs about an ounce. It's might be 5 inches long or so. And it's got some girth to it. And part of the cool thing about it is it covers a lot of water. You can cast it a blue mile. And that's a lot of it, being able to keep the water in the bait the bait in the water over an extended period of time. It's durable. It catches, and it just catches fish. So that's been something that's helped us a lot too. And especially in a situation where you got to cast into the wind, having a little bit of extra weight to kind of get it out there, that extra 10 or 15 yards can mean the difference between being successful and not.
Yeah. And if you're fishing an area where you've got speckled trout and then potentially transitioning in the same fishing trip to fishing for, those big 8, 9, 10-pound bluefish, do you use the same types of lures for topwater, or are you switching up the lures? And I'm also curious about your leader material because of the teeth that the bluefish have. So how do you adjust from the speckled trout when you start targeting the bluefish? What are you changing up in your tackle and your approach?
I just grabbed another rod. Yeah. I'm all rigged up for all kinds of. I carry 12 in the Omega, and so anyhow, but yeah, and it's a great question, and it's something that you kind of need to think about a little bit. I will use a fluorocarbon leader for speckled trout, and I will back that thing down to 20, 15 some days if it's real pretty, real clear. But generally it's about 20. I'll back that fluorocarbon leader for speckled trout specifically down to 15 or 20 on those topwater baits. It enhances the action a little bit.
Yeah.
Frees them up, and I will tie a loop knot in front of it as well to kind of give it that little bit of freedom. If you use an improved clinch or something, gets kind of tight. I mean, it still works, but it's the little things that we try to do to make it a little bit different, Luke. So
yeah,
we go for bluefish. I'm not going to throw that shallow diver Missouri because it ain't many of them out there. They're kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
I will throw those Rapala X-Rap 12s, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
12s. I will put that, and I will throw the top water lonely anglers because they're durable. But I do go up to 100-pound leader material on that.
Whoa.
Yeah, I go to 100 on that because I don't want to get busted off because it's pain in the ass. It's just not good. I don't like to get busted off on those things. The other thing that I'll do too, because the line on my reels, I'm using relatively light tackle, 2500s, 3000s at the most on the reel, with a medium with a rod that's probably rated to cast. I got some that are 1/8 ounce and some that are 1/4 ounce. I guess that's medium light, I guess.
Yeah.
So it provides a good fight on those blues. I mean, drag screaming, rod bent over, you got a little tussle on your hands. It's it's kind of cool. So yeah, with that, one thing I do is I'll put a barrel swivel run into my leader, about 18 inches of 100-pound, and I will clench that right up on that. We use an improved clench or something that for the top water for the blues. I will do that. There's been a lot of success around offshore structure lately, trolling for those blues. I see bay structure, trolling for those blues. But that's not just what we do.
Yeah. So the bluefish, I guess, are just not that leader shy. If you're able to run 100-pound leader and they're still smacking those top waters, they must not really care too much visually about the leader, in contrast to the way speckled trout do.
Right. It's not. They're two totally different approaches to it. I can crank up the stranglehold, on the radio and bump it, and those bluefish. It seems like the Nugent man just fires them right up. And I think other thing is that there are so many bluefish that they're very competitive. Once one of them tries to take a bite at it, they're very competitive, and they'll be both chasing for the bait, as opposed to this solitary speckled trout.
Got it. That makes sense. Well, specs, blues, what else is kind of in the target range right now? You'd mentioned before we hit record that you've been exploring a little bit just offshore to some of the the known wrecks where you can pick up some sea bass and things like that. Tell us a little bit about those trips.
It's been good. We're fortunate where we are. We catch a good weather day. You can run the old Mako out there, and she does pretty well. But we've been just offshore Shingatig. There's some rail cars out there on Blackfish Bank. Flounder fishing is getting better and better there every day. We'll just take I'll do a simple top and bottom rig with a 4-aught J hook on there. It takes about maybe 5 ounces to get to the bottom, 72 feet of water. And, luckily I got Rosie, the trolling motor, which,
Rosie.
yeah, that's from the Jetsons. And so Rosie can I can move between the pieces pretty well and get kind of vertical on them. And that helps a lot in that flounder fishery. And plus there's a lot of wrecks that are kind of off Chincoteague as well. And sea bass fishing has been good. We've been picking up, 4 people, we're not going to go out there and try to kill 60 of them. That's not what we do all day. We'll mix it up, catch it and go catch 15 or 20 sea bass, and then and the other day we were pulling a sea bass. We were pulling it up out of the water. Kid had caught it, and he's kind of bringing it to me. And as it got about 8 inches out of the water, this shark came and just tried to snatch it right beside the boat. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I was glad I wasn't leaning over when that happened.
Yeah, good thing you didn't have your hand anywhere near the water. I've seen a video that went viral at one point where a guy was trying to do something, dehook a shark or something, and it got a hold of him and nearly took his pinky off. And it wasn't even a very big shark. I mean, it just goes to remind you how strong and sharp their mouths are. So, well, man, that's exciting just to hear about all the things that can be done, right there where you guys are, Tangier, Sound, Charters. But one of the things that I always love hearing you talk about, and it's kind of coming to my mind right now with how hot it is outside, What's that? Ice cream. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So yesterday I had it was really cool, man. My morning trip yesterday, I had a father and son. The son had just finished his junior year of high school and moved his senior year. And we start right off the bat, first 2 casts, top water, boom, boom. rockfish, and we probably caught 10 or 15 topwater rockfish right off the bat. So, days of success already. So then we kind of moved around a little bit, ended up over behind Tangier at those wrecks over there. We went over there and probably caught, I don't know, 15 or 20 bluefish on topwater. And right about 11:30, it got hot. And I looked at them, I said, folks, how'd y'all like some ice cream? They're like, man, that'd be great. So we set it 4 brothers on Tangier and picked up, I think they had black cherry ice cream. The dad got a pina colada slushy, and I got my favorite, the old pineapple vanilla ice cream Willy Whip. It was
Man, I mean, on a hot day after catching some fish, I don't know if it gets any better. It's probably like the same thing with like a hot dog on a golf course. It's just like when the venue's right, the food just tastes that much better.
I tell you, the other thing we've been doing, Luke, up here is we've been cobia fishing a little bit.
Okay.
We started off real good. We had 4 for 5 one night trolling, which was good. Trolling spoons, that was great. Catch another one on another night, and moved to bottom fishing. And the bottom fishing, generally we do well up here into June, and then when they go in spawn, we stop catching them for a little bit, and we're lucky to get them back after that.
Yeah.
But and that went well for us. We ran over to Smith Point Light the other day, and we caught one, but my buddy Larry Talls put the absolute smack down on him. He busted their ass over there, man. I see how that happens. But cobia fishing has been halfway decent. So we're a lot of variety up here, a lot of different things for us to look at. Tomorrow we're going to the ocean. We're going to go out there and go to those Flounder and Seabass. And one of the things that I am going to do, Luke, is I will have some live eels with me. And I am going to buoy bounce a little bit. I did have a cobia butt a boat last time I went.
Mm-hmm.
Could not convince him to eat the plastic I was offering, but I'll be better equipped this time.
Yeah, they'll see that snake and they often can't resist it, especially those ocean-going cobias. I feel like they typically are a little bit more willing to eat. Yeah, a little more aggressive. Sometimes you'll actually get them to eat a jig or an artificial. So that's exciting. One of the things I love and appreciate about, when I get to sit back and listen to you share about the different trips that you're doing, like it really is one of the widest varieties available from a single charter guide, yourself that's around, and it has a lot to do with the location. So, I think folks that are listening that might be thinking about like a, late July or mid-July, August, September, vacation that incorporates the Eastern Shore of Virginia, this is a perfect thing to incorporate into your summer vacation or trip, because you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to go as long as it's not a thunderstorm. You can go fishing somewhere. And I think that's just a really cool thing. So if folks are thinking about booking, something in the area or want a reason to go up there and visit that area, what's the best way that they can contact you and get booked on Tangier Sound Charters?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, that's for sure, at Tangier Sound Charters, or Instagram at Tangier Sound Charters or at Sax's Islander, or they can call me on the phone at 410-251-7341. Let me tell you about the trip we had the other day. You see these things on Saturday morning TV where their guys are in the poling boat and they're in the flats and they're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, the fly fishing guys.
Yeah, we poled flats for about 5 miles the other day. 5 consecutive miles of grassy bottom flats in less than 3 feet of water, casting top waters in the Mako, just kind of drifting along. And you know how many other boats I saw?
0.
One other guy, he was crabbing.
So not fishing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just some of the places we go are just so off the grid, man. It was Bahamian where we were, for lack of a better word. It looked like, and it's just grass flats for 5 miles and in the middle of the bay, and we're there just by ourselves. So that was cool. The fly fishing thing was neat, man. That fella, the fish were a little farther away than I didn't tell you about this. He's a little bit, he couldn't get to the fish where the fish were located around the structure. So I pulled off the hooks from one of those lonely angler topwaters and would cast him out there, and I'd tease him up to the boat, Luke, and he would put his fly right. It was just a perfect bait and switch.
Oh, that's cool.
And his fly rod guy, Dick Beckstead, he called about 30 bluefish, and on these little popper things that he had until all his baits got chewed up, and that signaled the end of the day. And then you know what we did? We got ice cream.
I was gonna say, please tell me you got him some ice cream. Oh, that's great, man. I love to hear it. That's cool, kind of testimony to adaptive fishing too, to like realize where the fish were. The fly, can only be cast but so far. And so for you to be able to like tease them in like that so your angler can get tight, man. That's really cool teamwork to hear about. I've got a question for you because I know that you like to cook some fish up from time to time, don't you?
Oh yeah.
So you mentioned one of my favorite fish to eat, which is flounder. I'm curious, do you have a favorite way of preparing flounder?
I do. I am fortunate enough to have been privy to the recipe for stuffed flounder from Wright's Restaurant in Atlantic, Virginia. And when God decided there was going to be a dish called stuffed flounder, he let Lou Wright handle it. It is by far, it's amazing. It truly is amazing. It's very simple. It's magical. I know the Village Restaurant in Shingatig uses the same recipe. I can't share it with you, but it's stuffed with crab meat, and there's oh my God, my mouth's watering talking about it, Luke.
I'm getting hungry hearing you talk about it. Can you at least tell me, like, so I know there's different types of crab meat. You got your back fin, your lump, your jumbo lump. For a stuffed flounder, what type of crab meat do you prefer?
Well, I prefer not to use all jumbo lump. I prefer to use a super lump or just a back fin, and because we're going to mix it up anyhow a little bit. We're going to break it up, and the bigger pieces really kind of don't lend themselves well, in my opinion, to that dish. So we'll use a back fin or a super lump just to give it a little bit of texture. And one thing we always put in it is claw meat, because now claws like the dark meat of the chickens, where the flavor is. So
Got it. Well, I think you've officially, made me want to and realize that I must put some time on my calendar to come up there and visit you, because it just sounds like paradise on earth to have all that stuff at your fingertips, all these different options. But I think I'm most excited to just go have some ice cream with you and listen to more fish stories.
hell, I'll just meet you there. You point that Mako of yours up the beach about 62 miles, and I'll point mine that way. We'll just meet in the middle.
You know what? I'll make you a deal. I'll do that. Can we just trade gas bills at the end of the day?
Oh, I don't know, man.
I'm kidding. That's too funny, man. Well, I gotta say, man, it's always a pleasure having you on. I always learn something, and I feel like you're a real student of the fishery up there. You know it inside and out, and I just enjoy and appreciate your willingness to share tips and specific lures, and what you like to do and how you like to do it, just to kind of get us thinking about, okay, maybe on our next trip we need to think to change it up, or really think hard about the temperature of the location or what's below the surface and all that stuff. So hopefully our listeners today got to learn something, or at the very least think about getting up there and booking a trip with you so they can enjoy it for themselves too.
Yeah, here's one for you. I'll leave you with this one. So the other day I'm fishing with this gentleman, Tim Rafferty, and Tim comes with me once or twice a month. He's a good fisherman. He's a very good fisherman, and relatively new, but he's good. He's coming along quickly. So Tim and I are fishing, and it's the wind's starting to pick up, and it's just the weather's deteriorating. We weren't looking for any rain, but could feel it was coming. So I said, all right. So we moved up in this small creek. When we got up in there, there was some perch in there, and there was some rockfish in there. And the only hooks I had were 4/0 hooks. They were too big. So I'm like, shit, can't believe this has happened to me. So I looked around and I looked on them top order baits. And I was like, okay. So I pulled the treble hooks off the top order baits. I cut 2 of the hooks off of them, giving them a single hook, snelled them, put them on a top and bottom rig, and we proceeded to put the smackdown on some perch and rockfish.
That's a testimony to adapt and overcome, man.
Yeah. And we had some peeler on the boat. They wanted it on the bottom, and and that's what they wanted. And we figured out that's what they wanted, and we gave it to them, and they held up pretty well. I was worried that I was gonna kind of run out of hooks, but we did. We got a Maryland limited rockfish, and probably caught, I don't know, probably released another 8 or 10, and put 20 perch in the box, and we turned it into an ice cream sundae kind of day.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Great story as always, man. Captain CL, it's just always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for making some time for us, man.
Come see me and bring me some of that Scottish salmon. Oh, by the way,
Bruce, if you're listening, we need to get some Scottish salmon ordered up for old CL.
You tell Bruce that my son Parker Marshall is getting married in November, and I just approved a menu which Mallard's is doing for us, the rehearsal dinner, and the Scottish salmon's on the menu.
Heck yeah!
So
coming straight from Sam Russ Seafood over there in Hampton.
You got it, man.
That's awesome. Well, folks, that's going to wrap up an awesome segment learning about what Captain CL's been up to up there in Tangier Sound Charters. Hope you guys learned something. I sure did. Get up there, get some ice cream, get booked, have some fun. Stick around for a word from our sponsors like Sam Russ, who are making this great content free for you each and every single week. And we look forward to talking to you real soon. The days of heading out and blindly looking for good fishing areas are pretty much over. Don't waste time and money on fuel searching for fish. What you need are the most recent, highest resolution images to not only know where to go, but where not to go. The knowledge provided by today's technology is critical when planning an offshore fishing trip. So make the choice that captains all up and down the East Coast make and choose Hilton's Real-Time Navigator. The easy-to-use interface and excellent customer service will have you on the fish every time you go. Check them out at hiltonsoffshore.com. Hooked on fishing? Then you're part of the local community that Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle cares about serving and giving back to, providing you with the right selection for each season's target species. They're your one-stop shop to gear up with the best bait, tackle, and insider tips to catch your next trophy fish. You can fuel up right out front on the water and then chat with the crew inside for hot tips on where they're biting. So swing by today. Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle, where your fishing adventures start and finish with your trophy catch on their scales. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free APCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.